Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you another amazing recipe, and we are going to make my version of apple strudel. It is an Austrian dessert that's amazing. It is filled with apples, cinnamon, raisins, and layers of dough. It tastes great. It's a bit complicated to make actually, because the dough is quite a bit of a lengthy process, but believe me, it's definitely worth it. So let's get right into it. We are going to start with the dough. Alright, so for our beautiful strudel dough, we are going to make a very stretchy and simple dough. I'm going to use my standing mixer here, but you can also mix it by hand. And I'm going to start with my water, which is basic tap water, and I'm going to add some lemon juice as well as oil. It's regular vegetable oil, and then I'm going to add a nice pinch of salt. Amazing, now I'm going to add half of my flour and I'm going to mix with my dough hook attachment until I have a pretty nice consistency, and then I will add the remaining flour until I have a combined dough. Alright, so it's been 3 minutes, and as you can see, my dough is very combined and it forms a ball. It's perfect and it's not sticky at all. And now I'm just going to work it with my hands and put it aside for a rest for about an hour. It is very important to let the gluten rest in the dough. This will make the most stretchy dough ever, and it's very important in this recipe since we're going to stretch it out until very thin. So it needs to rest for this step. So while that rests, we're going to make the apple filling. For my apple filling, I'm going to start off using my nuts, and I'm going to use some walnuts that I'm going to chop real nice, and then I will toast them in some butter with some breadcrumbs, and it will take about 5 minutes or until the nuts starts to get golden brown and it smells incredible. I also use a beautiful praline powder, which is essentially hazelnuts that have been chopped real nice with some sugar, and it tastes amazing, but you are not forced to use it if you cannot find it. I just had some on hand and it's amazing with the apples. And then I'm going to mix everything up. Alright, so right before we make the actual apple filling, we are going to stretch our dough. It has been sitting in the fridge for an hour and it's now perfect. And I will basically stretch it on the largest work surface you can find, and I'm just going to use a rolling pin and my hands and be very patient, since this is clearly the most difficult part of this recipe, since you need to let the dough stretch, and it can take up to 20 minutes, but it's definitely worth it. You really need it to be as thin as possible, and for example, it is known that you're supposed to be able to read the journal through the dough, so it really needs to almost be transparent, and then we'll finally take care of those apples. For the apple filling, of course, I've got my apples that I've chopped pretty finely, and then I'm going to add my walnuts and breadcrumb mixture, and I'm going then to add some sugar, just a little bit, as well as my raisins. And finally, I will add, of course, some ground cinnamon as well as vanilla extract, which is in powder form, but you can definitely use liquid. And I'm also going to add a few tablespoons of lemon juice, and then I will mix everything up with my spatula and then put it on my dough. Alright, it is time to fold everything together. So as you can see, I'm just going to fold my dough with my fruit, and it will take a bit of patience as well, since my dough was cracking, as you can see, but it's not an issue at all. It is actually easier to use a large cloth on your table and stretch the dough on it, but I didn't have any on hands, so I actually decided to try without one, and it was not the best idea, so please use it. Just a large basic cloth that you can put under the dough. It will be easier to roll everything up together. Once you have a beautiful and very large roll, we are going to put it on our baking sheet covered with some parchment paper. And then I'm just going to brush some melted butter on top of my strudel. And finally add a cinnamon sugar, which is basically white sugar with some cinnamon added to it. It will create the most amazing crust. It is time to bake our strudel in our preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius, that's 350 in Fahrenheit, and I'm going to bake it for about 30 minutes, and if it's still very pale, of course you can bake it longer, especially if it's very large like mine. Mine took about 45 minutes if I'm being honest, and I've also added some aluminum foil on top of my strudel just to make sure that it didn't get so burnt and brown. And then I decided to let it rest for about an hour before serving, but you can definitely serve it very hot or just warm with an amazing scoop of ice cream or even just basic custard, and it will taste amazing. And that's it, our strudel is done, and as you can see, it looks very big and filled with apples all the way through. It tastes amazing and it's perfectly seasonal, especially since we're still in winter time. And I hope you enjoyed this video. You can find the entire list of ingredients in the description box down below right underneath this video, as well as my social media, so Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if you want to follow me there. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you really want to help me grow on YouTube, and give this video a like and a comment if you want to chat. I'll be very happy to respond, and I will see you very soon for another amazing recipe. Bye!